Day 109. You need to be very careful about what the process is in order to get the outcome you want. Because if you want the outcome, but you're not prepared to live the life needed to get it, you're just asking for disappointment. That was on a recent podcast I was listening to. And I think that's such good perspective. One thing that they referenced as it relates to this quote is the number one sought out job or career for young kids. I can't remember the exact age group, but for kids filling out this survey. There's a lot of data behind it if I'm correct on this. But the number one sought profession of young kids that were aspiring to figure out what they wanted to do when they got older was either being an influencer or a YouTuber. And there are a lot of people that have succeeded in doing that and made great money. But I almost wonder, as it relates to that, if what the kids see is, oh, you mean all I have to do is make videos and upload a couple pictures and I'm going to get rich and famous. But they truly don't understand the process behind the work that goes into editing and marketing and the grind of staying up all night and maybe working 10 years with no recognition and barely putting food on the table to then possibly have a chance at making it. And I'm not crushing anyone's dreams. Having said all of that, my thing that I wanted to be, we had to fill out something every single year from first grade to sixth grade, and I said a Major League Baseball player. And I remember all of my friends had different passions and it would change every year, and I was just like the weird kid that had the exact same thing that I wrote and the same picture that I drew every single year. And it's cool to dream. That's awesome. But as again, this quote, you need to be very careful about what the process is in order to get the outcome you want. Because if you want the outcome and you're not prepared to live that life you need to get it, you're just asking for disappointment. It's the same with people that they want to be a rock star. Well, do they understand that you're going to maybe spend 49 out of the 52 weeks out of the year traveling around with, as it said in this podcast, traveling around with all these other sweaty dudes and spending a decade living life on the road. And again, not making much money along the way, but then to potentially even have a chance at making it, you have to do a decade of that. And you're coming up with all these different chord progressions and all these different songs that'll never see the light of day, and you're putting in all this work day after day after day with maybe very little recognition and very little indication at times if it's even going to be successful down the road. And you just have to have this internal drive and this self-belief and self-confidence that one day it might work, if that truly is your goal and your ambition and your passion. But I just wonder sometimes if we set the wrong expectation of like, yeah, I want to be this famous influencer, but we're not taking any steps to actually make that happen. And I think it's the same in our spiritual lives. It's the same in our physical lives. It's like we, as humans, we have this tendency sometimes to be like, my New Year's resolution is to lose 50 pounds or to become shredded or to never have a cheat meal. But are we really taking into account all of the variables and temptations and distractions and things that are pulling us away from what the mission is? So just take those things into consideration. Because people can get so discouraged and so disappointed when they really peel back the onion, they really look behind the curtain, and they see, wow, it's a lot more difficult to achieve that dream that I had or that goal that I have. So in no way am I discouraging anyone, but I think it's just an important point that as humans, if we say we want something, we better be prepared to live that life consistently through the good and the bad times. And if we're really not committed, then you might just be headed towards disappointment. Scripture today, Jeremiah 17, verses 7 and 8. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. I love that. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. Man, in so many ways as humans, we can start to hit the panic button whether it's a dream that I'm talking about here or just some storm that's coming up and festering in our life. It can feel so difficult, and sometimes it's like, man, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make it through the week or the day. And when, at least speaking to my experience, in moments of despair or moments where I've gotten myself into a mess and I'm panicking, it's like I'll just want to take the reins and like hold on to any ounce of control I have left. And in those moments of despair, if you just want to get the control, it's easy to start panicking. It's easy to just lose sight of the broader perspective of like whose I am, which is Jesus, where I'm going, which is heaven. So I just have to remind myself in moments of peaks and valleys, but especially in those valleys of despair, in those moments, remembering that blessed are the ones that trust in the Lord and who has confidence in Him. And when you have that perspective, I think it relates back to the quote of like, if you know who you have confidence in and you trust in the Lord, you are going to be able to show up for yourself every single season. Not that you're going to be perfect every season, but you're going to be able to sustain the storms, and you're going to be able to continue to push towards the dreams and the goals that you've set out for yourself and in the way that you lead your family. So shout those dreams that you have. Make it known. People might say you're crazy to chase being a Major League Baseball player or an influencer, or to have these spiritual goals to travel across different countries, or just simple things of like, hey, I'm going to be a better husband. I'm going to love my neighbor more. Whatever the goal is for you. Have that perspective of trusting in the Lord, having confidence in Him, and knowing that if you do, that no matter if the heat comes, you shouldn't fear, as it says in here. Your leaves are always going to be green because you're rooted in the right things. As it says in here, you're rooted like a tree planted by water. So don't have worries in seasons of drought, because again in here it says you will never fail to bear fruit. So just remember that in your life, in moments of trial, in moments of despair, if you're rooted in the right thing and your confidence is in the Lord, you can sustain day after day, week after week, year after year to pursue the optimal patterns that the Lord has set out for you. And that's day 109.